Smackdown starts off with a Tiffany Stratton promo. Tiffany Stratton starts mentioning Money in the Bank, how she climbed the ladder, and now how she's the new Miss Money in the Bank. Then she started mentioning potential champions that she could cash in on. She mentions Liv Morgan, she mentions Bayley, and she even mentioned Roxanne Perez for the NXT title. Then Bayley comes out. She tries to come out to give some advice to Tiffany Stratton. She talked about how she was a former Money in the Bank winner, but Tiffany Stratton kind of wasn't trying to, listen to the advice and just start, kind of being that arrogant, bougie heel that she is. Then Bayley got a little frustrated and she ends up saying that she would end up making history and become the first woman to fail her cash in. Nia Jax then comes out. Then Nia Jax ends up mentioning Summerslam and how, of course, that she's going to eventually beat Bayley at Summerslam for her championship. Bayley, talks some trash back to Nia, ends up saying that she isn't the same Nia Jax that she lost to back in, I think, 2017 was the last time they fought. She mentioned that she's totally changed and how she's better than she ever been before. Then Bayley starts, mentioning how Tiffany Stratton has the Money in the Bank briefcase, and she tries to kind of try to put them against each other. Mentions how Tiffany Stratton would try to cash in on Nia if she was to become champion. Tiffany Stratton tries to interrupt the conversation, but she stopped because Nia gave her a side eye or something like that. It was very weird how they did it, but Nia kind of told Tiffany to pipe down a bit. Nia ends up saying that Tiffany is just her personal Barbie doll and that Bayley would just be her victim at SummerSlam, and that basically she's going to destroy Bayley when it comes to her SummerSlam match. Bayley tries to attack Nia Jax, but Tiffany Stratton, being in the ring, of course, ends up jumping Bayley. They end up double teaming her. Then Michin comes out of nowhere, makes the save with the kendo stick, which ends up transitioning to Michin versus Nia Jax. Nia Jax, for the most part, for the majority of the match, ends up dominating a good portion of this match. There was a portion of the match where it looks like Michin could have got the victory. It went back to commercial break. Michin started making a comeback a bit. Tiffany tries to distract the ref, but Bayley ends up stopping her. Nia Jax tries to use a kendo stick that Tiffany Stratton ended up giving Nia, but Michin ends up doing a tornado DDT. Goes for the pin, but Nia kicks out, which led to Nia ends up hitting the Samoa drop into her finisher, the Annihilator, and picks up the victory. After the match, Bayley again tries to attack Nia Jax, but Tiffany Stratton is there for the save. Is there to, help Nia Jax. After they destroy Bayley, they destroy Bayley. She's on the ground. Nia Jax is kind of blocking the spotlight from Tiffany Stratton, because after they attack someone, they start celebrating in the ring. As they're celebrating, Nia Jax is blocking off Tiffany Stratton's face, where it's mainly just focused on Nia, and Tiffany is trying to get some space so the camera can see her. Then they about to leave the ring, and Tiffany Stratton is trying to leave the ring, but Nia is blocking her view, is blocking her exit. Then she keeps tapping Nia Jax on the shoulder to get her to move along, but Nia is just standing there parading, being the center of the attention. Then Tiffany Stratton starts looking at her briefcase. Looks at her briefcase and looks at Bayley, and they end up teasing a potential cash in. It looks like she's about to cash it in. She goes to the ref. The ref is taking forever to take the briefcase. Then Nia Jax ends up stopping the cash in. She's wondering what she's doing. Tiffany ends up apologizing, ends up moving on, and then Nia Jax basically ends up forgiving her, and they end up walking out together. They're already teasing, the dissension of this friendship, which we all kind of expected. I actually think this could actually happen at SummerSlam. A lot of people expect her to hold it for a long time. I actually don't think she will. I think this is going to be a short cash in. I think they're just going to get it over with and have Tiffany Stratton hold it until they're ready for someone to defeat her. I think she's going to hold it for a while. Once she wins it, I think they're ready to pull the trigger. But I could be wrong. But I don't think she's going to hold it for that much longer. Now we get a Bloodline segment. We get Solo Sikoa. They do a similar vignette they did last week. Solo ends up saying that the Bloodline at one point in time had all the gold. They had all the championships, but Roman went soft. Then he ends up saying that he said he went soft, and he said a real tribal chief will always stay on his A game, and that's why he's the tribal chief now, because he won't allow that to happen. He says that he's building a new and better version of the Bloodline that's more ruthless, just better overall. He's building a better version of the Bloodline, and that's in this segment there. Love what they're doing. I love the shots he's taking at Roman. When Roman comes back, man, it's just going to be amazing to see how he's going to approach Solo, because that's just going to be amazing. Next, we get Andrade. He's getting interviewed about Money in the Bank, but it gets interrupted by Carmelo. Carmelo basically makes fun of Andrade. He mentions how he was the star of that match, ends up mentioning how he's the number one draft pick and how that people should be talking about him. Andrade basically doesn't take, kind to that, and basically they have a match next week. So next week is going to be Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade. Don't really care for the match. Well, I care for Carmelo. Andrade, I like him as a wrestler. As a character, not so much, but as a wrestler, I love him. So we'll see how that plays out. Next, we get Baron Corbin versus Apollo Crews versus Legado del Fantasma. They're having their feud for a bit. This match ended how you expected. Electra Lopez interfered in the match, which led to Santos Escobar getting in the ring and hitting a high knee to, I think, Apollo Crews. And then one of the members of Angel or Garza, no, not Angel or Garza, Angel or Herberto took advantage and picked up the victory there. I don't know what's the end goal of this feud. I don't hate it because I like everyone's involved. I love Legado del Fantasma. I think they have a lot of potential if booked correctly. I like Baron Corbin. Apollo, not so much, but we'll see how this feud plays out. But it's just not really hitting for me personally. Next, we get Cody and Randy Orton. They have a segment on Smackdown. Randy basically talking about how he's always going to have Cody's back. He mentions how the Bloodline are probably going to jump him and how that if they do jump him, that he will be there to help him out. He ends up mentioning how Kevin Owens isn't there because he got to be there for his family and that his family needs him more than they need him. And he basically ends up saying that when they're done with the Bloodline, that there's going to be other wrestlers there waiting to take that championship off of you and that he will be there ready to have his back. Now, when he says other guys waiting to take the championship off of him, we all know what that means. He means himself, because we all know eventually it's going to happen. Randy versus Cody. Now, it could happen babyface versus babyface or heel versus babyface, which I think most of us want heel Orton versus a babyface Cody Rhodes. So we'll see how that plays out. But they already been teasing Randy Orton potentially going after Cody eventually. There's been a couple times where Randy has started staring at that WWE Championship. So it can happen sooner than later, but they've been teasing it a bit with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes eventually feuding. Next, we get LA Knight. He comes out and he has a contract. And I already knew what this contract was, but he basically comes out. He ends up basically mentioning his Money in the Bank, mentioning his loss, but he ends up mentioning that how he got to Money in the Bank. He started mentioning his journey towards Money in the Bank. He ended up showing on the Titantron the Money in the Bank qualifying match between him, Santos, and Logan Paul, and he ends up mentioning how he pinned Logan Paul. So he ended up talking to Nick Aldis, and basically he got a contract signed for him and Logan Paul at SummerSlam. He signs it, and basically all he needs is Logan Paul's signature. So it's official that Logan Paul and LA Knight will be at SummerSlam. I can't wait for that match. I think that's when you pull the trigger on LA Knight, hopefully. Now, I'm not one of these LA Knight fanboys who's been crying for him to win a title, because me personally, I don't care. I just think it's time for him to win, mainly because I like Logan Paul, but for him as U.S. champion, it really doesn't do it for me. Like, now, I'm not one of these guys who complain about part-time champions. I only care depending on how entertaining the part-time champion is. With Roman, I didn't care because he has the bloodline story. Where Logan, he's good, but he isn't good enough or entertaining enough for me to justify him being a part-timer, which I kind of expected. But it's like, he's not that entertaining where it's worth him being a part-timer. Where, like, if you have someone that's just that good, like if CM Punk was ever a part-time champion, it would be fine because CM Punk is just that good and that entertaining, and he has the feuds and rivalries, where Logan doesn't have the feuds or the rivalries to really make it justifiable for him to be a part-timer, in my opinion. So I think it's time finally take it off of Logan Paul. LA Knight can get his lengthy run of being US champion. Plus, it's might as well give him something, because I don't know what else you can do with LA Knight without hurting his momentum, because I don't know what else he can really do, because he ain't going after Cody, so he ain't gonna be in the main event scene. And the mid-card scene on Smackdown isn't the greatest. It's not as good as Raw mid-card scene. So yeah, so you gotta do something with LA Knight. Next, we get Blair Davenport versus Naomi. Naomi picks up the victory here. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of frustrated with this match a bit. Now, I am a little biased because anyone who watches my channel knows how much I love Blair Davenport, especially in my early videos of NXT. But it was the way that she lost. She basically lost basically in a dumb way. They was doing a sequence of roll-up pins. After they was done doing the roll-up pins, Blair kind of complained to the ref, and then she turned around and gets knee to the face and basically lose. And the thing is, Naomi was playing an arm injury in this match. So it's like, not only, because you guys know how I feel. I hate when they have baby faces have an injury angle and still win the match. I hate that. I get that they played the angle of Blair getting distracted, but it's still a very stupid way for her to lose, in my opinion. I understand why Naomi won. I knew that she was going to win. It was just the way she won that kind of made me mad, because I hate when baby faces win when they're injured, because I think it just makes the heel look incredibly weak. But after this match, Bled Davenport and Naomi had a segment, and Bled Davenport ends up saying that, the better woman won, and that she would love to get another match, and hopefully she could come out on top. Naomi wasn't trusting it. She pulled her hand. She tried to shake her hand. Naomi wasn't trusting it, but she ends up shaking her hand. And then Blair Davenport walks away. Now, I ain't gonna lie, they almost got me, because typically when heels shake the other person's hand, they typically attack. But she ends up shaking her hand and walks away. But then 5 seconds later, she comes back and attacks Naomi. So the feud is going to continue, and hopefully she eventually picks up the victory here. They actually tricked me with this, because I was like, there's no way Blair Davenport is just going to shake her hand. But it was a good way they did it. They did it very different, because typically they always have the heel just shake the hand and then attack, but they end up doing it in a very smart way. Next, we get DIY versus Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. They're getting their rematch clause. I don't know why they have a rematch clause, because they're very inconsistent with the rematch clause, but Austin Theory and Grayson Waller has a rematch clause. This was a good match, solid match. DIY ends up retaining their titles, of course. But after the match is what interesting. Jacob Fatu comes out. Jacob Fatu comes out and attacks everyone that was in the match. Attacks Austin Theory. Grayson Waller ran. He didn't want no problems. Immediately attack Austin Theory. He attacks Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano. He ended up doing Johnny Gargano jumped off the top rope, and he ends up catching him and doing like a body slam. Tommaso Ciampa did like a DDT on Jacob, but just like what happened at the Money in the Bank match when Randy Orton DDT'd him, it did no effect. Jacob Fatu ate the DDT and immediately take out Tommaso Ciampa. Right there, all the tag teams are eliminated. The Bloodline comes out. Solo Sikoa theme music, he comes out. Cut a promo. He ends up mentioning how that he's the new tribal chief and that everyone has to acknowledge him, and that anyone who doesn't acknowledge him ends up getting taken out. He ends up mentioning Jimmy, how he got taken out for not acknowledging him, mentioning Paul Heyman for not acknowledging him. Then we start getting, we want Roman chants. We end up getting Roman chants. He ends up saying that you guys shouldn't cheer for him now. You guys don't deserve him. That now you're stuck with me. Then he ends up saying that if Roman was to ever come back, he will acknowledge me as his tribal chief. Of course, the crowd is booing. The crowd is going crazy. Then he ends up saying that now it's Cody Rhodes' turn to come out to acknowledge him. Cody comes out and he basically makes it official. He says that it's going to be him and Solo at SummerSlam. Then the Bloodline starts, surrounding Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes ends up attacking Solo, but he ends up getting overwhelmed because, of course, it's a 4-on-1. During this whole entire attack, they kept making Jacob Fatu a main focal point, because for a good portion, the baby faces kept on almost won the brawl, but every single time Jacob Fatu was the difference maker. Because originally Cody Rhodes was able to attack all the heels and put up a good fight, but then Jacob Fatu comes in, makes the save. Same thing. Once the Bloodline starts getting the upper hand, Randy Orton comes out. Randy Orton had the upper hand on the heels for a bit with Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, but then out of nowhere, Jacob Fatu. They keep doing that with Jacob Fatu, where basically Solo, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa basically get beat up by the baby faces, but Jacob Fatu is just the unstoppable force, which I like and I don't like, because you don't have to make the entire Bloodline just seem so weak, but Jacob Fatu is just the guy that can't be stopped. I get why they're doing it, but come on. But the Bloodline being overpowered, being overwhelmed, it's a 4-on-2. But then we get where Cody starts, Cody is being hung by the ropes, kind of what Sheamus does when he does the 10 beats to the chest. That's basically the position they put Cody in. Solo and Jacob Fatu put him in that position, while Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu are beating the crap out of Randy, and they're just making Cody Rhodes watch from the position that Sheamus does the 10 beats to chest, constantly super kicking Randy Orton over and over and over again. Then they go to the announce table, clear the announce table, and then they end up doing the Shield powerbomb on that announce table, making Cody Rhodes watch. Cody Rhodes is screaming, yelling. He's like, don't do it. Do it to me. Attack me. He constantly want to sacrifice himself for Randy, but they're not listening. Then They do the powerbomb onto the announce table, and then that's the end of your segment with the Bloodline standing tall, building up to Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa at SummerSlam. This is great. This was great. This was amazing. I love the way they did this. This was perfect. This is great. I can't wait for that match. I love that they're building the Bloodlines, this dangerous faction. I love what they're doing. This is great. Can't wait for the match. Most likely Roman should appear in that match, most likely making his return either when Solo loses or interfere in the match, making a disqualification and just make Roman, costing Solo the match. Who knows? But Roman most definitely will make his appearance at SummerSlam. I can't wait. That was great. But you guys, let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you feeling about this new Bloodline. Let me know what you're feeling about the build up towards SummerSlam. You guys let me know your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, that's it.